In a missing persons case, physical evidence is usually what leads investigators to the truth. A dropped shoe, tire tracks, scent trails, or DNA. But what happens when a 5-year-old child vanishes into thin air and leaves absolutely nothing behind? In June 2021, Summer Wells disappeared from her family's home in the remote community of Beech Creek, tucked inside the small town of Rogersville, Tennessee. Search teams descended on the area. Canine units, drones, helicopters, and dive teams combed through thousands of acres of rugged terrain and local waterways. The result? Nothing. No physical evidence. No trace. In any missing person investigation, protocol dictates that the last person to see the victim is the first one under the microscope. In Summer's case, that was her mother, Candace. And to this day, law enforcement hasn't cleared her, with many believing she hasn't told authorities everything she knows.
As we've stated before, the circumstances surrounding Summer's disappearance remain unclear. So if we do develop information that she was taken and we develop a suspect and a vehicle description, of course, we will share that with the public immediately. At this time, that's just not the case.
When ground searches fail and physical evidence doesn't exist, investigators have to pivot to a different kind of crime scene, the digital one. To understand why digital forensics are so crucial here, you first have to understand where this happened. Take a look at these cell tower maps. Over in downtown Rogersville, you see a normal concentration of cell towers and coverage. But out in Beech Creek, it's a total dead zone. Beech Creek is nestled deep in a valley surrounded by steep wooded ridges. Because of those natural terrain obstructions, there is practically zero reliable cell signal out there. T-Mobile drops off, Verizon fades, and AT&T only cuts through in specific spots near high ridge lines. It's an extremely rural stretch with almost no commercial businesses.
Still didn't find her? And they said no. So I ran over and I freaked out. I called Donnie because that's what I do automatically. I freak out, You
called Donnie?
I called Donnie. I said, I cannot find Summer. Come home now. He's like, call the cops. So I threw my phone down on the back of his pickup, ran over to my mom, picked up her phone because it's the only one that gets out there is AT&T.
Okay.
So I picked up her phone, I dialed her one. I said, I cannot find my daughter.
Heard from investigators each day now how difficult this search is due to the terrain.
Yeah, the terrain, the mountains around Rogersville and Hawkins counties proved very difficult for a number of reasons. A big one, communication. News Channel 11's John Jenko looks into what's being done to help search teams and investigators as they try to talk to each other. John?
We now know two factors making things difficult for the 19 agencies assisting in the search for Summer Wells. First, cell phone service here in Hawkins County is not very good. Second, the terrain is very harsh. You can see there's these hills all around us here. That impacts the signal for the older radios used by Hawkins County law enforcement.
We can't hardly communicate at all on our radios, and cell phones are out of the question.
Crews are now finishing their second day in the search for Summer Wells, but their search has been slowed by technological limitations. Cell signal boosters are being used to help improve coverage, but that's only helping somewhat.
AT&T and Verizon both have bought cell phone service boosters to our command post to help try to utilize cell phone coverage, which is still very spotty.
Crews are also having to deal with the physical landscape.
We're also experiencing, as you see behind us, very dense canopy coverage, including very dense ground cover.
Those steep hills in the search area also pose a problem,
causing search efforts to become very difficult, taking extra time to cover these areas adequately, exhausting teams a lot quicker, in turn causing longer for these grounds to be covered.
The terrain also makes the use of radios less effective.
For ground crew operations, we're having to utilize anywhere from 4 to 6 different radio channels to make sure we have the coverage where everybody's accounted for.
Hawkins County Mayor Jim Lee says some of the radio system used is about 15 to 20 years old, made up of parts of different systems. He says the Beech Creek community has some of the worst radio coverage in the county.
Because the physical environment offered no clues, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and the FBI had to rely heavily on digital footprinting. Officials canvassed the neighborhood, checking the surrounding properties to make sure no residential security cameras were missed. They collected and reviewed available surveillance video throughout the entire area. The TBI conducted numerous search warrants and collected any potential digital evidence. This included social media accounts.
Her family, Summer's family, reported her missing nearly 5 months ago. Ansley's now live in the studio with an update on the case. Ansley?
Josh and Sarah, in that series of 6 tweets, the TBI says that they've recently seen an uptick in misinformation about the case of the missing 5-year-old. Those tweets also reveal that numerous search warrants have been executed and any potential digital evidence has already been collected.
Now you might ask, if there's no cell service in Beech Creek, how does digital forensics help? Here's where it gets interesting. Even when a cell phone has zero signal to make a call or load a web page, the device itself never stops recording. Phones constantly write background logs. They record Wi-Fi router handshake attempts, step count data, camera metadata, time-stamped app usage, and offline GPS locations. When there are no eyewitnesses and no physical evidence, digital forensics becomes the ultimate truth teller. It allows forensic analysts to reconstruct a second-by-second timeline. It shows who tapped on a screen, who locked a phone, who connected to home Wi-Fi, and who was actually where when Summer disappeared. In a case shrouded by inconsistent statements, the device logs don't lie, forget, or change their story. The TBI has made it clear. While they can't reveal public specifics about the evidence extracted from those seized devices, that digital data serves as the baseline for the entire ongoing investigation. Multiple searches of the terrain came up empty, but the digital evidence remains locked in law enforcement's databases, waiting to be cross-referenced with every new tip or statement that comes in. When the physical world leaves no clues, it's the quiet data stored on hard drives, router logs, and mobile chips that may eventually bring Summer Wells home. Digital forensics does not always offer quick or simple answers, especially in remote areas with limited cell coverage. In the search for Summer Wells, one of the most exhaustive missing child investigations in Tennessee history, digital evidence works alongside physical searches, canine units, and dive teams to help build a clear timeline. While the rural, mountainous terrain makes digital tracking challenging, cell tower logs and device data create a crucial baseline of facts. Ultimately, finding answers in this case depends on combining this digital evidence with reliable public tips.